to the Athletes in Motion podcast, From Race to Recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Tom, how are you?
I am fantastic as well, because we have our Triathlete of the Year in here with Sarah Crane. Welcome back.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Yeah, so we've been following Sarah along as one of our Athletes in Motion, or our triathletes journey.
There you go.
In the Athletes in Motion podcast.
It's a string of words.
We're working with all of this. Yeah. But Sarah, we've been following along doing her first sprint and Olympic triathlon, at least training for and attempting. And now we have some, what happened?
Yes. Now, we've been intentionally not talking to you about this at all because we wanted to save it until now. So I think the first one was a women's only sprint, and then you did the Olympic.
I did the sprint.
The sprint on the other one. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the women's only one.
You guys keep pushing me towards the Olympic,
I know.
Not
maybe
yet.
We're trying to push that along there.
I think we're trying to do something.
I'm just saying.
So you show up. First off, we were talking earlier before we got on the air about the idea of kind of prep, right? Getting ready the day before. So give us the sort of pre-day. Do you have a ritual now that you're trying to do, or you just go, oh my God, what am I doing? Or what's your day before look like?
Yeah, I think I'm starting to build that now that I'm 2 triathlons.
Look at you.
Yeah, look at this.
I'm a multi-finisher triathlon.
I know. No, I think it was interesting between the first and the second.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that I was way less nervous about the second one.
Yeah.
Because the first one, I was like, do I have all my things? Checking my list.
Panic sets
Yes,
for
even
sure.
like a couple days before.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had a great list from having spoken with both of you and going to Tom's transition clinic of kind of what to have, what not to have.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what I ended up doing kind of both days before was making sure I had like my backpack I had chosen to put all my stuff in, had all my stuff laid out. Thankfully, both of the races I did had the option to check your bike in beforehand and get registered the day before.
And that's really handy.
Yeah.
If you get that opportunity, take it.
Yeah. And so I really like that because then I had the packet that had all my numbers and all of that. So kind of like putting my number on my helmet, putting my number on my bike, checking my bike in.
Once you get that number, it feels real, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It feels very real. Now, I had to decide. I was like, should I put my tattoo on the night before? Should I do it the morning of? I ended up doing them both the morning of. That worked fine.
And for folks that don't know, these are temporary numbers that go on like a tattoo, right? They're a temporary tattoo that you put water on.
We used to Sharpie them on your arm, and then it would take forever to come off, and some people were allergic to it. So they went to this nice, and I know Team Magic uses them extensively. So some other races don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to get your number on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
So you got
I've
the number
heard
on
it's
your
moved to both. Yeah. So, I had tattoos on both sides of the arm. So getting my number on my arm and kind of the night before laying out all of my stuff. Like, okay, I have my timer, like ankle band and my wristband. And my also is just ready. My triathlon kit ready for the morning, all of that. I think the second time I thought a little bit more about, kind of prepping, thinking through transitions and timing of things. The first one, I was just like, I don't know. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. So, and I took y'all's advice of the first one, treat it like a practice. And I loved that I had done that first one and it was much smaller. Yeah. And then the second one was much bigger. It was just
so it was about 300, a little over 300 for the women's race, 313 or something like that, or 330 or something like that. So it was was a decent number. It was great. It was the inaugural race. So it was nice to have that many people show up for the inaugural race, and it worked out great because the storms blew through right before and then cleared out for a beautiful day.
Yeah. And then the second one, excuse me, I think Joe Fleener from Team Magic posted it was over 3,000 people that between the crowd and the participants were on site.
Wow.
So
So
day two we had there was almost 1,000 racers.
Yeah.
So for the
so go from 300 to 3,000 total people, right?
Yeah.
Because the crowd's kind of crazy.
It's nice.
Okay, so you're all prepped. You get up in the morning.
Did you sleep the night before?
Neither of them did I sleep well. I made myself get in bed really early.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I think I was so excited and also the unknown of what was coming. Yeah.
So on the women's only, it was a pool swim, right? So that probably was a little bit more controlled, if you will, rather than like an open water. How did you? Okay, so you got there. Let's just go into the highlights. So
so got there. Bike is already checked in. I think it was nice at both races because I had people I knew. Like Tom was there with his tent set up. There were friends I knew racing both races, and so to get to see those people and kind of start the day with some friendly faces.
That's great.
It was pretty cool the morning of, because the storms had blown through. So kind of had like a sweatshirt on because it was cold. So then kind of getting in the mindset of, okay, we're going to go swim. And all of that. Got my transition area set up thanks to Tom's great coaching of how to do that. And set up, my shoes. I was not wearing clips for my bike. So I only had my one pair of tennis shoes. And then my helmet, I put my things in my helmet that I wanted on the bike with me. So that was a tip I had learned. And then I had like my small pile with my racing number. And I don't know that I had anything else for my running because I had my shoes already. My sunglasses.
Oh, you got to have the sunglasses.
And so, because I think on that day it was kind of overcast, so I didn't put my sunglasses
did you get
on
the big
the
Oakley
bike.
ones
So I did not. I actually, I got some Gooders.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, my wife wears those all the time.
Yes, I really ended up liking those. This was my first time to run with them.
Well, as you transition to a pro, you'll need to get the big.
Okay, good to know.
The Arrow.
Or the fancy ones that go on your bike helmet that
those
I see people rocking. Those are like super interesting. I don't know if
I may have that.
Okay, I have that. I feel like you have to be a really good biker to be allowed to wear those.
Sarah, I don't want to brag.
It's all about the looks. It's about the photos. That's all we care about. We don't even care about the speed. You just look good.
As long as you look good.
As long as the camera shows up, you pop a quad or something.
Yeah.
I'm not, dying on the bike at all.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just teach me all the photo.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Tricks.
So was it a self-selection when it came to the swim, or was it based off a number when you got in the water?
So we had given our times in registration. And so then they had seated people by times in the women's triathlon.
And it's a snake, right?
It's a snake through the pool. So you start on one side. The super sprint started ahead of us.
Okay.
So they started and they just were doing 2 laps. So it was set up like an Olympic length pool, 50 meters. Yeah. And then, so they started first. Once the last person went from that, they started the sprinters. And we did 4 lengths. And I'm going to say I didn't really love the pool swim. I preferred, like, having not done pool and open water. I actually preferred the open water swim. I think part of it is because they set it up really well where the lanes were really wide.
They doubled the lanes. So you had a double width. They pulled one lane line out, so you had double the width.
Yes.
So there was plenty of room for everybody.
There was lots of room.
Yeah.
But having to go under the lane lines, and then what was challenging for me was I got to the 3rd length. So the first 2 were like, fine. Get to the 3rd length. And there were about 8 people stacked up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm swimming in going, okay, I know I have to touch the wall so I don't disqualify. But I don't know if all these people are trying to go under the rope at the same time, if they're resting, if they're like panicking. Some of my lifeguard instincts went like check on them. Like,
are you okay?
Are they okay?
Yeah.
But I know there were lifeguards around. So I was like, okay, not my job. So I ended up coming into the wall, touching, and then diving as deep as I could to just go under everybody else.
There you go.
And I popped up on the far side of the lane. Like, I just was like,
how cocky is that? Just
look at me.
Terrible. The swim is my only strength of the 3. So I decided
having the swim background,
I better go.
you were just kind
Sarah's doing a medley. Like, I'm going to start with the butterfly first, and then I'll move to the backstroke.
Kicking some people. I do breaststroke. But no, I was more so like, I want to get out of their way in case anyone is panicking. I don't want to get like.
They grab onto you and pull you down.
So I was like, just let me get out of the way as fast as I can and clear out of here. So that was a pool swim. Then the second race was in open water.
Right. Diving off of a dock.
Diving off of the dock, yes. And I ended up liking that a lot better.
Yeah.
Is it because of why?
I think
there's
there were
multiple reasons.
I think there were multiple reasons. I think the first time I had not thought about how we were all getting in the water of like the jumping in, and that felt very awkward.
Yeah.
I preferred it like dive or jump in where I can push off the bottom and go. Like, I don't know. That was awkward the first time. So the second time I was like a little more ready. Yeah. The second race I racked with my triathlon club. So that was not something that I knew what that looked like. But at least at this race, if you're in a triathlon club and registered with them, then they'll let you rack your bike with them. And that puts you closer to the start.
Nice.
And so that was really nice because
that's right. Because they stacked up the clubs
at
first.
The front.
And so you went with the club and then everybody else went after that.
So I was very near like the Beat Club, which I know Kenny you're a part of, and then Heat from Hendersonville, East Nashville Triathlon Club, Nashville Triathlon Club, Working Triathlete, kind of all of those people were stacked. So that was nice. I know a lot of people don't like the open water because it feels really crowded. It was not crowded for me. So that is probably
And they jump off, every 3 seconds, I think they have you go.
every 3 to 5 seconds they had us go.
You dunk under, and then as you start going, someone else behind
you. And then you go, it was nice because, as y'all had told me, the current was kind of going with us. So it wasn't fighting the current in the open water. And I grew up swimming at lakes and stuff. And so I'm more comfortable than most people. And on Friday before the race, I had gone and done the open water swim at Anderson Beach at Percy Priest, where Tom helped spot. And Janet from Team Magic, Janet Byers, was there.
Great.
Also spotting. And so that was a good kind of prep for that as well.
We had we had almost 30 people out that day.
Morning,
Everybody was getting their swim prep in. That was nice.
Before the triathlon,
Well, and I think it's really important because, I mean, sometimes people will show up, just be pool swimmers and think, well, I can do open water. It's like, well, there's sighting. Right.
Yeah.
There's current. There's, to your point, you're not going to be able to see. There's no black line, and you're going to have a bunch of people around you. So it's really important just to get out and feel the water. Right?
Yes. I will say my friend who did it with me said she personally had a little bit of a panic when she jumped in just because of that exact reason. She had not been used to open water swimming. Yeah. There was no line. It was a bit chaotic. She was with a lot more people. But she and I both said kind of, you get in your head and go, okay, just swim. Like, just do the
thing. And what's
thing.
nice about that one is you're literally 8 feet from the dock. I mean, because for people that don't know, what happens is you stand on this dock, right? And then you just jump off the edge of it, and you're like 8 feet from the dock. And so half of your swim, you're basically waving at people that are waiting to get in the
waiting
water.
on line. You pass
and then you just have
line.
this like beach in front of you for the next 200, and you're out, right?
Yeah.
So
my friend Brinkley was on the dock and shouted to me, "Go, Sarah!"
Which is kind of neat, right?
Yeah, it was fun.
So there you go. So open water much better than the other one. So you felt a lot more comfortable, and you also kind of knew what was happening, right? Because I think the chaos we did the team triathlon, and we had a runner that came with us. Said she's never been to a triathlon, and she was just overwhelmed by the sheer like amount of stuff going on.
Yes.
Did that at first kind of hit you, or was it something that because you knew what you needed to do, or because you had friends that was there, it was a little bit easier, or how did that feel when you sort of walked up and went, people are bracking bikes, you've got people over here, the porta potties lined up like you wouldn't believe. You're like, should I go? I think I should go. I don't know if I should go, but do I have to go? But I got to better get in line if I want, that kind of thing. I mean, is it?
Yes, I think that having friends there helped because I could kind of ask questions. I think Team Magic in particular, I've not raced with anyone else, so I can't say, but they have for your first time racers, they have the race concierge. So there's a tent you can go and ask questions. Yeah. And then they also had racks outside of transition to help you get set up. And they had volunteers there if you were a first timer, even if you weren't a first timer, to just like help you. Where do you put your number? What do you do? Why would you put it in the front or the back? Like, what are people's preferences or on the bar of your bike? And, there were just a lot of people there to help answer questions, which I think was helpful. It was definitely, I think the first one was a more overwhelming a bit than the second one because I had already done it once, right?
You kind of know what you need to go through.
You can go through all the practice and talk about what the transitions and how this thing looks until you get to race day. And when you get to race day, then it becomes like it's overwhelming at sometimes, right? You look at like I have to come in from here and I have to run out over there. Now it's not this close. It's a distance. And the second one was even bigger, right? So it's like, and once you've been through it, then it makes sense. Then you can go, okay, the next race you can come out and go, oh, okay, I get it. You kind of get a better feel of the flow.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things going on. I think if you ask anyone there, like, hey, do you know where the run out is? Most people are incredibly nice. I mean, they're gonna even if you don't have a tent, right? Which did you take advantage of that? The tent?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great, because you were going to use that, and so
yes, I took advantage of that. I really liked that, and it was nice. Team Magic also gives you an armband. That's a first timer armband.
Yeah.
So then, if you're out on the race, people can cheer for you if they see that. But also, if you need any extra help, it kind of flags that.
Yeah.
It's like bright green, and then afterwards, if you go to their tent, they give you a prize for completing your first triathlon. So that's kind of fun.
Is Iron Man listening at all? We're going to send this to Iron Man.
Yeah.
Look, guys, you charge a crap ton of money.
Right. Seriously.
No, I think, and that's really helpful, right? Because, like you said, it's you feel a sense that people know that it's your first time, and they're not going to kind of leave you high and dry on that one.
Yeah.
But the good news is for folks that don't, if they do a triathlon and they don't have that type of service. Most everybody's going to help everybody out. Like, hey, I don't know where to put my bike.
The community's fantastic.
I think
it's amazing. I think that was one of my favorite parts. I've told you all that, even of training. It's been one of my favorite parts. And then on race day to see, that's what it is all over. The community's amazing.
Yeah.
On the morning of my second triathlon, I had let air out of my bike tires because it was so hot.
Yeah.
And I was pumping my tires at the car before I checked in. And I had a very friendly person say, hey, actually, you might not want to do that. It's so hot. It might cause your tires to pop. When you get on them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had no idea. And so he told me a little bit more. I let some air out. So the morning of, I had forgotten my pump in my car. And I was like, well, I could walk over and get it. But the person like 2 bikes down from me had their pump. And there were 3 of us ended up borrowing that guy's pump.
That's what ends up happening. Yeah.
And then the person next to me, she couldn't find her goggles. And she was like, I think I left them at home. I don't know where they are. Another person gave her a pair of goggles. So everybody's kind of helping each other out, answering questions,
and because I think everybody, we all know we're in the same boat at this point, right? We all know the nervousness. To your point, there's 40 things you got to remember: shoes, socks, hat, sunglasses. To your point, suntan lotion. Do I have my food? Do I have my bottles? All this sort of stuff. And if you forget something, I think most people are. I would absolutely give. If I had an extra pair, just because you want that person to succeed, right?
Yes.
Just behind me, but they. Well, I got to beat them, but at the same time,
you want to beat them fair and square, not because they have an excuse.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like here's some goggles so I can kick your butt on the swim.
You understand?
Right?
I mean, how many months of training have you done for this, right? And imagine you forgot your goggles, and then you're standing there, and so people know that, right? And what's cool is I think you're going to pay it forward, right? Because at some point you're going to see somebody else that's new and going to be able to do that.
Yeah. So if you start doing more of these, with the tendency is to bring extra stuff with you. I always have like a pile of pins because I get them at every race, and somebody needs pins to put their number on. Here's a pin, whatever. I bring extra pairs of older goggles that I'm not using, and I'm just like, I can give them to somebody. Any of that stuff. And just go here, just take it. Whatever. It's all good. So.
Very good.
I actually ended up having an extra race belt, and my friend Daniel was there, and he didn't have his. And so I ended up giving that to him. And I have been given multiple race belts by friends. And so I was like, hey, I have a plethora.
We end up with a dozen and we hand them out to everybody, and then we get nothing because we gave away our last one. And then we're borrowing back from somebody else. It's just make the circuit.
Oh, and race belts are weird. Like you were talking about prep, like literally 2 to 3 days before I know where my race belt's at. I never wear a race belt unless I race, right?
Yes.
And I leave it in a drawer, and I always take it out and put it in an obvious spot exactly for that reason. Like, I thought about it on a Wednesday. I'm not racing until the weekend, but I better get the race belt out. Yeah, take it out now because I'm going to forget because I'm terrible that way. So,
now here's a question about race belts.
Yes.
So I ran with 2 different ones. The first one I did pins just on like a kind of a normal running belt that had a little pouch, for nutrition, or that I sometimes run and put my phone in. The second one, I ran with one that had like the bungee cords for the number. I think I liked that better. The first one, the pins with the number being wet, my number came off partway through. So during the run, I was having to try to pin it back on. I don't know. Do y'all have a preference? Do you have a recommendation between those 2?
I kind of like the ones with the little Velcro things. You pinch it, take it out, put it in.
I have a really old one that
elastic.
somehow is still working. That's just a plastic clip, and basically you put the number on, and you have to snap it in really hard, and it just pinches it.
I used to have that.
It just pinches it in there. But what you have to do is you have to stretch it out put it on and then let it go back. Because if you put it that way and then you try to put it on, it won't stretch because the number won't go. So you have to remember to put it on first, stretch it out, and place the number on it properly. But either way works. The ones with the bungees that you just clip the thing on is kind of whatever is going to be the most comfortable.
Yeah, I've got, so I'm paranoid. I bring like a Band-Aid and like a really small Neosporin everywhere I go. I don't know why. I just in case, right? And usually we do larger races, right? At some point, something's going to get rashy someplace. So I'm paranoid about that. And I have chapstick. And so I think it's Nathan is the one I have. It has a small pouch, and I have a Band-Aid, a small Neosporin, and then a chapstick. And then I put then the race thing goes over it. I don't know why. I always do that. Yeah. It's because it's weird. It's like it's $1 for chapstick. I mean, if I'm going to, especially on the longer races, if I'm doing a half Ironman or an Ironman, and I'm in the middle of this thing, and again, chapstick can work also for swords or anything else. So for me, it's like, good, I don't want my race to be defined by $1. Yes. Like if I just put $1, product on a baggie that fits on my, and I can't feel it, right? Because it's on my belt. I'm like, I do that just no matter what. Or like you said, somebody, there was a guy at our race that his shoulder was, he got in a wreck. And so being able to, if I had the Neosporin with me, I could have said, dude, here you go. And he can
put a little
at least get that on there to get,
But
that's my paranoia. So I always have with me.
Or your wisdom.
Some people carry a Lucky Charm.
I carry chapstick. Chapstick and Neosporin and a Band-Aid.
And a Band-Aid. I like the Band-Aid part.
Yeah, so I have that on my bike too. So I do that every time. I don't know why. I do know why, because I just don't want to be caught in the middle of that. So and it's everybody's like you'll find out as you do more of these, because you will. You kind of settle into kind of what fits for you or what doesn't fit for you. Yeah. And for some reason, chapstick now is high on my list of things to have. So there you go. All right. So the bike portion we haven't talked about yet. Yes. You got out of the water. You're like, I did it. Did you say that first?
Yeah. No.
Stop for a second. Go, wow, I did it. Oh, shit. I got 2 more to go.
The run for the women's try was quite a distance to get to the transition. So this is the beauty of them, is that, it was in like the next neighborhood or something like that. You had to run from the aquatic center over. And that's the challenge of most of these races, is that like, how close can you put the transition area to the swim?
Yes.
Almost none of them have a short run. So you have to go a distance. You're in bare feet. Or did you put some flip-flops down there? Or
so
sandals
funny enough, I had put flip-flops outside of the pool. So they had an area where you could put shoes out kind of by your number. And once I got out, I was like, I don't care. I'm not running in flip-flops. And I just grabbed them and went.
Carried them with you.
So I should have probably just even left them. But it was definitely a bit of a distance to get to the bikes and uphill.
Nice.
Not super uphill, because I've heard about some locally that
not
are
like the second race.
Not like the second race. So it's good training probably.
Switchbacks up the hill.
I know. It was probably good training for that.
That's fine.
But it was across like a main street, which I think they had maybe swept, so it wasn't too like,
that's good.
Rocky or whatever. But so we ran across the street into the park, up the hill, and then you get to transition, which was really cool for people who know Nashville. The bikes were set up right in front of the Parthenon. And so that was kind of fun to run into. And right as I'm going into transition, Tom and his wife are there cheering. And
I got myself placed right where everyone comes in. So.
That was perfect to run into. And then got in, bike. In my head, the thing that I kept telling myself as I was going to get my bike both times was, put your helmet on, put your helmet on, put your helmet on, because I know that is the rule before you can leave. And of course I always ride with my helmet, but I think I was nervous that for some reason I would forget.
And that's what happens. Or you put it on, but you don't clip the chin strap. And then that's a no-go as well. So they're it's a safety thing. So it's all good.
So got in there, put on my socks, kind of wiped off my feet and like wiped off a little bit, but not super well. I ended up later that day when I took off my shoes and my socks, I had grass everywhere. We had run through across the road and through the grass and all of that. So
that's what happened.
But just put them on real quick. And then got my helmet on, I had some nutrition, so I put that in the back pocket of my jersey. Now, the first race, I had ordered 3 different triathlon kits. None of them worked.
Oh,
really?
And so that was really fun. So the first race I went to a local bike shop and found some Tri shorts that worked.
Okay.
And then I used a bike jersey.
yeah.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
It wasn't great for the swim. Like it kind of billowed up a little bit when I jumped in the pool.
Oh, okay.
But besides that, it was great. Like it totally worked. It was fine. The second one, then I talked to a lady in my triathlon club and she gave me some advice. I ended up ordering a great top for the second race. Cool. But all of that to say, I came out, like I had all of that ready to go, put on my helmet, and then get to, that was something that's new as well, is like you take your bike down, then you have to go out of transition and get to the mount line before you can get onto the bike.
Yeah.
And thankfully they have people there telling you, this is where you get on and all of that. And because I'm a pretty fast swimmer, I was pretty quick out of the pool.
Yeah.
Now the super sprint had gone before us. So there were a lot of people that had already gone out. But with the sprint people, I was pretty quick, on the front end of that. Thankfully, I think Tom, you had told me this, and maybe both of you go past the mount line and get
Tom said
on.
that,
So that it's not, I'm not doing these like flying mounts or
Yeah.
any of this fancy stuff I hear people doing. I was like, no, I just need to get on.
Everybody just goes across the line and stops. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're on an escalator and everybody just slams into the back of you. It's just kind of like, okay.
Let me turn my bike computer on. It's like, move over.
Exactly. So got on that and started biking. To back up, one thing that was a surprise right before I got in the pool at the first swim is my aunt and uncle were there. And so I heard my voices. I'm like 10 people from jumping in. Sarah Crane. And I look up and there was my sweet Aunt Marie and my Uncle Dan. I kind of start crying because I was just so shocked and I think all the nerves of the day. Then when I got out on the bike, almost immediately, like I kind of got around the first corner and there was one of my best friends.
Oh, there you
and
go.
she was there at the sign cheering, my friend Stephanie. And kind of all along the route with the bike and the run, I ended up having friends who had come out. I didn't know, besides my aunt and uncle, they were like, oh, we'll probably make it for the run. And then they got there very early. They made it for the whole thing.
Yeah, which is good.
But so that was really fun. The bike, thankfully, I had gone. I knew we had talked about this last time. I went and did the bike route the weekend before with one of my friends, Natalia. Yeah. And so we were both doing the race. We did it. We were familiar with kind of, here's where we're going to be going like up some hills. Here's where we can kind of come speedy down. Hopefully this gets cleaned up or we don't have to ride through this like gravel section or, different pieces. So that was really helpful. And this was an interesting and very different than the second route because this route went much more so through a neighborhood. It was through the Sylvan Park kind of West National neighborhood. And so people just came out like in their front yards and were cheering.
Isn't it awesome?
And out walking their dogs and out with their kids. And so that was really fun. We rode through, and for the sprint distance, you did 2 laps. And so we rode through and went kind of back towards the Parthenon and did a second lap. So that was good. There were
How long did it take you a little bit to get settled on the bike? Like the excitement off the run and you're kind of like, how long did it take
you go
to
off pedaling like super crazy fast? Like, I've got this. And by the time you get to the second lap, you're like, ooh.
Well, yeah, it takes me it takes me about mile 2 before I sort of settle in. With the excitement of the transition and all that. Did it take you a little bit of time?
It probably took me maybe like a mile to settle in. And then I think I had gone really hard on the bike. So the second lap, especially because the very end of it was up Charlotte and it's up a hill. And it's just this continual incline almost the entire way. And so by the second lap going up that hill, I was like, I'm ready to run. Feeling it. But the nice thing that was cool is I think because it was a smaller race and it was all women, is people were so encouraging to each other on the bike. So if somebody passed you, they're like, you're doing great. Or if you pass somebody else or different things. And it was really inspiring to see there was a woman out racing who was blind.
That's right. I saw that. She had her guide with her. And
that
was awesome.
So that was super cool. There was a woman racing who only had one leg, and so she was doing amazing. And there were people of all ages, all sizes, everybody. And so that was really fun, I think, on the bike because you could take a little bit more of it in and had time to do that. That was really, I enjoyed the bike, but it did take me a little bit, I would say, to get settled in.
The benefits of 2 loops is that you get to see more people and you get to see everyone that's racing. If it's a single loop and you're closer to the front, you're first one adding out, you're not going to see all of that, right? But once you're actually in the thick of it doing some laps, then you're like, oh, okay, then you can kind of take it all in and enjoy it that way. So
yeah, and it's just easier for the crowd to be able to see you, and it's easier for the coordinators because they're having to cordon off less space, right?
Yes.
That's why they do that.
Yeah.
So bike went well. You kind of probably should have held off on that second hill, but that's all right. On the second race, that one was hillier than I remembered.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
That was hillier than expected. I had driven. So the second race, thankfully, they blocked all the traffic off on Ellington Parkway, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But on a normal day, it's a very trafficy place. So I did not bike that before we did it. I just drove it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It was more hilly than expected.
Yeah.
I had one woman that I kind of was riding with for a little bit, side by side or close to each other. And she said, I think this entire route is just straight uphill. I said,
it
feels that way.
Well, the first 4 miles is 3 pretty decent climbs, right? And I've done the race before. I completely forgot about it. And
we blocked those out.
Right. I just remember because on the way back,
I just remember the flat and downhill sections.
Yes.
That's it.
So on the way back, it was like 3 miles downhill and flat, which is awesome. But the way out, and I did the same thing you did. I went out for the first lap a little hot, and then I got to the second one. I'm like, why did I do that? It's like you just kind of power through it, right?
Yeah.
So
Now I had a lot of excitement on my second race on the bike, not for me, but right by me. Is that so? There were a couple, as you know, because Kenny, you did the biking. There were a couple like potholes and bumps and different things.
Them,
and they were marked pretty well. But there was one pretty big bump right as you were getting kind of out of town and onto Ellington.
Yep.
And so, like, I had ridden over that. I hear someone behind me ride over it, and I hear some kind of like things maybe shaking loose on this bike coming behind me. And the guy is coming very fast and passes me on the left. And I hear, as he's passing me, screws rattling. And I'm like,
that's odd.
That's weird.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. As he passes me and gets in front of me, his water bottle comes flying off the back of his bike.
Nice.
And he's probably like within 5 feet of me, maybe 10.
Gosh. Yeah.
Water bottle comes flying off.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, his entire seat and his water bottle hardware and screws come flying off the bike.
Oh
the whole thing. I may have said some choice, explicit words, swerved out of the way.
Yeah.
He pulled over to the side as he's realizing that's happening. I have no idea what happened to him.
Oh my gosh.
I hope he got it repaired, but I was like, whoa, we are maybe a mile into the bike, and there are things flying.
Well, and that's why I'm going to say it a bunch of times. Being on a trainer is fantastic to get to get strength, but if you don't know how to handle a bike for that exact reason, right?
Yeah.
You had no idea. Like a bottle come flying out, and then a seat, like
a seat.
you were
Doesn't happen that often. Once in a while, but not that often. That's nothing you can prepare for.
That's just funny. You could be like really deadpan about it. Seat. It's like like a twister. Cow. It's just like bottle. Seat. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and that's why knowing how to handle your bike, knowing that's the point where it matters. Because if you don't, you're
I've got some old saddles. I think the next transition training, as you're riding down the road, I'm just going to chuck bottles and things.
You got to be ready for everything.
There you go.
Truly.
You can
like that
dodge
old guy.
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
It's that old guy on dodgeball. You'll be that guy, right? Just throw a wrench out.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a note of that.
Yeah,
throw a cat.
That was an unexpected part of.
How fun for you!
Yeah, it was. So that bike took me a little longer to get. Yeah, I was very awake.
But you dodged everything.
I did dodge everything.
Right? You did good.
And that bike was different too, in that there was so much kind of to get out of the transition area and then kind of onto the main course. There were a lot of sharp turns. And
it was technical.
Different. It was more technical to get started. But then it was just straight. Lots of hills on Ellington and I just did one lap since I was doing the sprint. So now because I had, and we'll talk about this when we get to the run, but because I had gone so hard on the bike on the first triathlon, the run was very difficult. And so on this second one, I think I did not go as fast as I could on the bike. I scaled myself back a little bit because I knew the run is coming. Yeah. It's my hardest for me, like discipline. And it was so difficult last time. I don't want to feel like that on this one. So
and you get that only through experience, honestly.
Exactly. We keep talking about it's all about the run. Everything you do is about the run.
Yeah,
how you prep your swim, your bike, and I think it's really hard for people to back off on, especially if that's their specialty, right?
Yeah.
I'm a cyclist or I'm a swimmer.
Yeah.
You're going to hammer this because you want a really good swim time or you want a good bike time.
I have no idea what you're talking
about.
And then that's just looking at me.
Speaking from personal
I don't know. Like
so we're
some
just
of my
saying,
athletes, man, you want to bike too hard and blow up on the run. Shut up, Tom.
And then don't realize how much time you actually lose on the run because you slow down tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay, so on your first run, it was...
Before we get to the run, one thing that was a surprise to me, which I would just say if anyone else is doing a first one, on the first race, because I was doing a sprint and it was the longer distance, I passed a lot of people on the bike because there were super sprint people that were slower.
Yep.
I did get passed by faster bikers, but I was also passing people. On this one, because I was racked so early and I'm a fast swimmer, so I got out of the water fast. I was pretty fast to get going. But then I got passed by a lot of people on the bike. And that's a bit of a mental game. That was more of a mental kind of toughness practice than the first one where I was passing a fair amount of people, even though I was getting passed.
It's true because you like, am I going too slow? Should I be, that kind of thing?
I should be going harder. Yeah, exactly. And then, it's kind of this, do your own race.
Yeah, stay within your
That's
game.
critically important, absolutely.
Yes.
And it's so easy because they've got a bib on you, because you have a bunch of people that are out, and you're seeing people like, I could be as fast as that person. Why aren't I doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, look him take that hill. Why didn't I should be able to take the hill like that, right?
Yeah.
So that is really, really probably the hardest thing to do is remember it's your race.
Yeah.
Critically, I mean, of anything to do, that's probably the one thing, right?
Yeah.
Just, it's your race, not that race. So anyway. Good job
so
for staying within your head.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting, between the two
Challenge.
races, a very different feel.
Yeah.
And an interesting challenge on the second one.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you get on the run.
So I get on the run. And on the first run, you guys, I was like, I just want to stop. I just want to quit. My legs felt like absolute lead.
Yeah.
They just, they just felt like concrete. And I think partially, and I had done like some brick workouts. I told y'all last time that was one of my least favorites.
Yes.
But I had done some of those, but I wasn't going at race pace.
Yeah.
And then because I think I had gone so hard on the bike, especially on that first one, I was exhausted to start the run, and just absolutely dragging. And so that was also kind of a mental game of, no, just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
There's a ton of mental fatigue with the buildup for the race, especially on the first one, right? So you don't realize how much energy you're burning because you're thinking about it. You're fired up, right?
Yeah.
You're there, like even just walking around before the race starts, you're just amped the whole time. So when you get to the run, you're just kind of like, I'm blowing up. What's going on, right?
Yeah. So that was a bit of a surprise because I knew the run would be hard, but I was like, okay, I've done some bricks. Like it's going to be on the tail end. But it was a lot harder than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And I'm already not a fast runner. And then it was just like, okay, you've just got to keep moving.
Yeah.
And so I did end up doing a bit of like a mix of walking and running, like speed walking and running. Yeah. Yep. One of my friends, we like crossed at kind of a turn when I was doing that. And she was like, you better start running.
Coming for you.
I will.
Well, it's kind of, and that's kind of what you need every once in a while, right? You need some random person, like, if you touch a sign, you get magic. I mean, there's people out there, right?
Exactly.
And touch those signs. Those actually help.
Absolutely. Well, and then there were so many people, again, like I said, I had friends all along the route. And so them cheering for me. And then there were great people. I remember there was one volunteer with Team Magic and I found her afterwards to thank her. But because with this run, you did 2 laps for the sprint. Yeah. And so when I was coming in and passing to like go to the second lap, she was at the split where you say like, go this way to finish, go this way. And when I came in and she was like, okay, you're going to the second lap. She said, next time I see you, you're going to be finishing. Let's go. And it was just kind of that motivation you need to, okay, I'm going to keep going. Yeah. There were people cheering who I've never seen them. I don't know them, but they know somebody else on the course and they're just out there cheering for everybody. And
does
that made
a 2-lap
difference.
thing, was that better for you or worse? Because I find it more difficult for me to do that, right?
I like having just one giant loop or lap.
Because you come near the finish line and then you go back out again.
Go again. And then you know where there's like some hills or where it's going to be really quiet or where, you know. So I am not a fan of the 2 laps. I get why you would do that, but it's not my
it's like
favorite.
if I turn left, the pain goes away.
Yes.
If I turn right, the pain comes back.
Look, I go home. Right here. I get to go home.
So,
How do I make the pain go away? Right. Okay, fine. Yeah. And on the second one, it was much hotter, right? I mean, the second
one was so much hotter.
It was in a concrete jungle.
Yes. As you had said, it was much more of an industrial concrete jungle. The first one, it was at a park. It was shady a lot of the run.
Beautiful. Yeah, you had a perfect
around
day.
a lake. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
The second one, it was just roasting. Yeah. And then for that one is fun because at the very end of like your loop on the run is a hill.
Yep.
And so you've run like mostly flat, a little bit of an incline, and then all of a sudden going into kind of the turnaround point is a pretty significant hill.
Yeah.
It's just like they did it on purpose.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Just one more to punish you.
I know.
But you'd run downhill on the way back.
But you do. You run downhill on the way back. And the thing that actually I liked about that one being, because it's like an out and back on the same road, is you see people passing.
Yeah.
And so I would see friends. I would see other people in like Nashville Triathlon Club, and we're like cheering each other on and getting to do that as we go. And that was really great too, to get to see people.
Yeah, so it sounds like on both races, I mean, you've had the fortunate one to do them local, right?
Yes.
And you've had a bunch of people show up. And I think, I think it's important, and what you're bringing up is also just the power of the ability of people just cheering you on, the power of, if you, there's a lot, I know I get tunnel vision sometimes, at least when I'm training in some of these races, but to be able to do what you do is just be able to open up and go, it's not feeling good, but I got people here cheering. It's just the
Takes your mind
community.
off.
It really is kind of neat that you were able to embrace that, even though, you have a lot going on in your head, right? This is the first one, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've had, I think that's a wonderful thing that you've picked up was like, hey, the energy from other people can really help you. And you allowed yourself to do that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks. So. Yeah. And the second one, the run was longer, but it was not, I didn't feel like physically didn't feel as difficult because I had not gone as hard on the bike and I was expecting my legs to feel like that. And so it wasn't a surprise, right?
You took the surprise out of it. Now you know
what it would feel like and what to expect. And so I liked that. And it was, I ended up the second one, I think I enjoyed a lot more just overall because I wasn't as nervous. I kind of knew a little bit more what to expect. And then could just take it in and really enjoy.
Cool. Yeah. So you had this sort of thing in your head probably when you first started this year to be able to do this. And again, thank you for being on our podcast and sharing this with us.
Really appreciate you sharing all of this.
Now that it's over, what was it everything you were hoping for? Was it slightly, did it meet expectations? Did it exceed it? You sound like you're a triathlete now. Can we officially call you that?
Can we?
Yes,
She's
I think
officially
so.
a triathlete.
I've gotten the bug too. I'm officially a triathlete in that I've completed
That's
that.
right.
But I would say it exceeded expectations.
Great.
Nice.
That is fantastic.
That's good to hear.
I absolutely
But you've been waiting for this, right?
I have been waiting for this. It's been a goal. It's been a dream for a decade.
No kidding. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Finally.
So,
right?
So that feels a little weird in that, it's done.
Yeah.
I did it. And I think in some ways in the back of my head, there was a bit of, because there have been some disasters pre my other races that I trained
You were almost
for.
expecting it to happen again,
it's
right?
like COVID didn't happen. I didn't get a crazy virus like I did in Uganda. Nobody blew up their knee who I was doing it with, any of that. My friend did break her arm.
Oh my.
But it was 6 weeks before the race. She got it off. She still did it. She
That's
did
awesome.
great.
Okay.
Shout out to Brinkley. Crushed it.
Nice.
Yes. And so... it kind of was shocking, like, okay, everything's well. It's time to go. And so, but I feel really proud of myself that I did it.
Oh,
you should be, absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved them.
Any post-race blues kind of going on? Or are you just like, because you were in a regimented program, and are you keeping that up, or you allowed yourself to kind of relax? And
I've given myself a little bit of time to rest, but I've also found so much fun and community in the training place. And so I want to keep it up. I think I know myself well enough to know I probably need to put another race on the calendar to help stay motivated.
One in August, is there not?
There's one coming up in August.
There's one coming up in
Nashville
August.
City.
Nashville City. I'm just saying.
River Bluff.
River Bluff is a great one.
Yeah.
It's a river swim.
Fun.
Unfortunately, I will have no time to train in August because I have international students. We do about a month of orientation with them.
That's your
so
busy
I'm
month,
looking at either...
You just have the students come on and run with you. Everybody,
I know, right? Everybody. This is part of your orientation.
Part of your orientation.
Yeah.
Everybody in the
Let's
car.
go. We'll show you Nashville.
Excited. You over there, row.
Yeah. So I'm figuring out like if as hot as the Southeast gets, do I want to do one in July or not? Or could I find one in kind of like September or October maybe to do? Yeah. So I'm also very curious about aqua bike since the run is not my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm curious to explore maybe having I think I heard someone recently call it swim bike done.
Yeah.
Instead of swim bike run.
I like
Swim bike done. I like that's good.
And so I was like, oh, maybe that's more my
I think
preference.
it's absolutely encourage you to do it. I know because like Tom and I, what we were talking about, we did a team event, right? I haven't done a team event in over 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
And we could both finish a triathlon, but it was just a lot more fun.
You get on a relay, you got a team, you got
got
people, you can swim and you can have somebody else do the bike and the run.
So
and
I was able just to bike, and I haven't done that. And it's just fun to mix it up once in a while.
Yeah.
So try the aqua bike. And if that's something you try a duathlon where you just, well, you probably don't do that, but it's run, bike, run.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not going to.
But I mean, if you want to try to
do that.
I used to do that, and then all the cool kids were swimming. I'm like, I've got to go learn how to swim. Great, but they're harder than a triathlon, by the way. They're not fun. Yeah. It's like you run hard and you get on a bike, and then you run hard again. It's not fun. But I think that's that encouragement to just show up to just a group ride and continue to do group rides. Go do an aqua bike and see if that's a cool thing to do, and allow yourself to kind of have fun on these things. I think that's fantastic. So you did them. You're gonna do some other ones coming up in the future. If you have somebody that's watching right now and has been following you that's been interested in wanting to do that, what words of wisdom or pearls of knowledge would you pass on to people that would like to try to do a triathlon?
Yeah, I would say absolutely do it. I think it's been worth it both for the physical training, but also the mental challenge and training and work that has been part of it. I would recommend trying a smaller triathlon. I really liked that I did the women's, which was only about 300 people, and not the Nashville that was 1,000 people as my very first one. Yeah. But I know a lot of people did the Nashville one as their first one, and that was great. I would say sign up for the distance that you feel comfortable with and that you feel like you have time to train for. So for me, doing the training while working and getting my master's and trying to have any other outside life, the sprint was the right choice because I could do it within the time I had and not feel like I was never not doing enough training. I felt like I did mostly the right amount. I probably could have done more.
And let's say it's not just a triathlon or just a sprint, right? Let's clear that again. I keep saying this over and over again because everyone would come up and I'd ask, what race are you doing? They'd go, oh, just a sprint. I was like, no, you're doing the sprint. It's a legit distance. It is a legit triathlon. It doesn't matter that part of it. So you're doing the sprint or you're doing the Olympic or whatever. Doesn't matter in that point. So it's a legit distance. You're a legit triathlete for doing a sprint distance. That's
now you can do coffee parties and go, I'm a triathlete.
Yeah.
Oh.
Triathlete. Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact.
That's right. I'm not ready to get the Ironman
multiple
tattoo
finisher.
yet,
get the stickers on the back,
I know. And the other thing I would say is community is so key, is both inviting your community into it, which was so fun to have people out cheering and to have family and friends kind of ask. I did get people asking, how's it going? What are you doing? As it kept going, but also to finding a local triathlon club has been really important.
I think that's
and building
huge.
Community through that who are also racing, seeing them out on race day, talking to them about what are you doing and when are you doing it and how,
they're balancing the life thing is life training, work, all that at the same time as well. So it's nice to kind of commiserate on how you're getting your training done and, kind of find those things.
Yeah, exactly. So those would be, but I would say do it.
Cool.
Try it out.
Well, Sarah, we very much appreciate you allowing us to follow you. Hopefully you had a good time on our Triathlete's journey.
I've had such a good time, and you guys have been so encouraging along the way.
Well, it's just fun to watch. I
think
your energy is just wonderful to be able to watch and watch you go through this whole thing. And I think we're absolutely cheering for you. Like you said, you've gone through, disease and pestilence and locust plague in order to get here. So we're just glad that you were able to, finally enjoy what you've been wanting to do. So, again,
thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on, talking to us. So, and thanks everybody for listening and watching on our YouTube channel. Please keep up the feedback, 5 stars, thumbs up, all of that good stuff gets us higher up on the ratings, gets through the algorithms, more people can find us. So we appreciate everybody. And thank you so much. And until next time, we'll catch you then.